what I would like for today, what I would love is if it was less of a talk and more of an experience. So if you all close your eyes and try to picture what I'm saying as I speak, and we'll all just go through this journey together. So bear with me, close your eyes, and let's go back in time. Let's go back about 78 million years ago, Cretaceous period. Supercontinent Pangaea is just starting to break apart, and the Rocky Mountains are just starting to form. And this is where we're going to go, about halfway up the Rocky Mountains, just to the east, right into Midwestern North America. And I want you to picture the lush forests of ferns and cycads and conifers, some early flowering plants, and then, of course, it's bursting with life, right? And so there's insects flying around, there's the towering, huge sauropods just lumbering around, maybe a T-Rex and some iguanodons feeding in the brush. And we're just outside of this lush forest, we're by a river, and I want you to imagine another dinosaur walking by this river. And this dinosaur is about the size of a large truck. It looks similar to kind of the Triceratops that we might be familiar with, and it's got this large frill with horns radiating outwards from the frill. And it's got two horns above its eyes pointing, but instead of pointing forward, they're pointing outwards to the side. And this dinosaur, we'll call her Judith. Judith is an older dinosaur. She's walking on 3 legs. She's got one forearm clutched tight to her chest. She can't walk on it. And unfortunately, this is the day where Judith dies. So she falls down. In the Cretaceous period, there's no life alert, so Judith falls and she can't get up. And then she slowly sinks into the mud. And if we were paleontologists, this would be the end of the story. But there's a whole other story that goes on to Judith after this, which is just as fascinating as what happened before. And this is the study of taphonomy, or burial processes, or the process of preservation. And so we're going to follow Judith still for the next few minutes. And so I want you to imagine her right now. She's completely covered by mud, and this is good because it protects her from the scavengers and the bacteria and the weathering that would otherwise break down Judith. And what we'll see now as she's encased in these sediments is the beginning of the process of permineralization, or petrification. And this is just that as the groundwater percolates through the sand and through Judith, the groundwater is going to pick up a lot of silica from the surrounding sand. And this silica is the same mineral we find in glass or in quartz. And as the water percolates through Judith next, it's going to deposit the silica into her soft tissues and into her bones, and even replace some of the original minerals with silica. And this is going to turn her into a fossil, into something that can withstand the crushing pressures of more and more sediments piling on top of Judith. And this silica is only because of the surrounding sand, and really any mineral can be incorporated to make a fossil. And so we have, in some cases, gemstones like opal are incorporated into fossils, and it results in these just gorgeous, iridescent skeletons of these ancient animals, and it's just incredible. And the process is so fine and so detailed that we can extract pigments from the skin fossils of dinosaurs. And in one case, we have a brain fossil, and we can see the capillaries winding through the cortex, and even the meninges, that thin membrane that separates the brain and the skull, just because the fossilization is so detailed and so precise. And now I want you to imagine this process goes on for millions of years until eventually we find Judith. And she's dug up and she gets sent to a museum, hopefully. And the archaeologists can look at Judith and they can tell her species from the different characteristics of her skeleton, and they can count the growth rings on her bones, and they can tell her age, that she was older. And they can even look at this forearm, and they could find signs of arthritis and bone infection, which would show that she wouldn't be able to walk on that forearm for quite a bit of time before she died. And now I want you to imagine that you're walking through one of these collections, through a museum, maybe at the Canadian Museum of Nature, just down the road from here, which I'm sure a few of you have been to. And you're walking through this collection and you see a skull on the stand. And it's a large skull. It's similar to Triceratops. There's 2 horns, but instead of pointing forward, they're pointing to the side. And if you're at the Canadian Museum of Nature, this skull is Judith. She's real. She was found in 2005, and she was brought to the Canadian Museum of Nature. And it's really quite incredible. We don't know if she's male or female, but everything else I've said about her is true, and we can tell because of this so detailed, incredibly unlikely, and incredibly astounding process of fossilization. Thank you.